So Heinz, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. It's going to be valuable for the students at Waterloo to understand, how you approach your business. I did research before the interview that certainly indicates to me that there is much of what you do that is valuable to learn from. So my first question is that you've had an interesting career thus far, and the path that you've taken to become the vice president of manufacturing at Primex is one that's prepared you well, I think. So can you tell me about that path and about the job that you do now?
No problem, Peter. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the interview. I appreciate it. I have over 25 years of experience in manufacturing and quality systems, mostly in plastics, but I also have experience in steel. I worked over 5 years for the Becker Group, which is one of the largest manufacturers of steel cable in the world. Their headquarters are in Belgium. My career started in Mexico City. I worked for PVC lamination company. After that, I migrated with my wife to Canada when there was a big demand for young engineers in 1998. Edith and I were looking for an adventure, and we found it immediately. And 22 years later, Vancouver is our home. I have a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering, a certificate in project management from the University of British Columbia, and I finished my master's in organizational psychology from Adler University last year. I've been working for Primex for 14 years. I started there as a quality manager, and I'm currently the vice president of manufacturing. I'm responsible for all manufacturing and a member of the senior team, which together we develop all the business strategies and align the growth initiatives to the strategies.
Wonderful, and Vancouver is a lovely place to live. And Primex is in Langley, beside or part of Vancouver. Can you tell students about the company?
Absolutely. Primex is a telecommunication company with 40 years experience in injection molding. So we have used all that experience to develop all our products in telecom. We combine plastic with metals, but basically it's injection molding is our strength. Our customers are the main service providers in North America, such as Thales, Rogers, Shaw, and in US, all the big ones as well. We've been very successful in introducing our products in US in the last few years. So our customers are also Comcast and AT&T, for instance. We're about 140 employees with 2 locations and in British Columbia, and recently one in Hector, Minnesota. This is one of the businesses that we just acquired this year. We design, we prototype, and we manufacture in Langley. This is what we call our center of excellence. And from there, we expand our capabilities through subcontracting in multiple locations in US and locally and in Asia as well. We have a very diverse, strong culture of collaboration and safety, which truly that's what makes my job enjoyable. We were acquired by Oldcastle last year, and the parent company of Oldcastle is CRH. If you can believe this, this is an Irish company that looked at us last year, and they saw a big future with us. So now we are owned by Americans, which are owned by Irish, and CRH is an enormous company. It's a multinational company with 40 billion euros revenue around the world.
Yeah. And that's a position many manufacturing companies find themselves in, with various ownership structures and changes in ownership from time to time as well, of course. But what are the main challenges that you face in manufacturing today? What are the things that cause you to focus your mind at work these days?
Well, I don't think you're going to be surprised when I say that COVID-19 pandemic is for sure my biggest current challenge. It has actually been the re-engineering of our processes, and processes that I thought they were appropriate, they were normal, right? Now we have to rethink the whole structures, and but other than the obvious COVID-19 that occupies everybody's minds this time, I struggle with balancing our resources with growth. I think I mentioned that we were acquired. I mentioned that we were acquired last year, and this year we bought a company. So all these movements are generating growth, and in the middle of a pandemic, so it's quite difficult. So we are very carefully measuring and communicating to build a business according to a very unpredictable demands. So I will say that's for sure my biggest challenge in terms of people, equipment, all the resources that have to be aligned to move forward with the demand.
Great. And you're mentioning that things are changing a lot, but also, many businesses today are being impacted by technological change. To what extent is digital transformation or large technological change impacting your business, and how have you approached work on that?
In the last 5 to 10 years, we have invested a really good amount of money in automation. Almost all our injection molding machines will have robots that takes the parts out of the machine, as well as we have post-molding assemblies automation. Last year we were very successful using robots to actually locate parts, do insertions in post-molding. So a good amount of money there. And in terms of systems, we use Syspro as our ERP system, and we are currently working to implement DVR Plus as our newest scheduling system. This DVR Plus is based on theory of constraints, and what we're going to do is to feed the system back by having terminals on each machine in real time.
Yeah, so real-time information of what each machine is doing is going to be fed back in to enable schedules to be created that are as efficient as possible.
That's right, Peter. Right now, our scheduling system is it's too basic for the amount of work we do. We rely too much on knowledge, right, of our scheduler, right, that it's able to actually retain a certain amount of information and put it in an Excel sheet. So that's really dangerous, right? Although I have to say that we don't. This individual doesn't make too many mistakes, right? It's really just it's just too much. It's just too much for individual. We have to bring technology to overcome the limitations.
Yeah, a very common problem. I've seen lots of companies that use Excel and still use Excel for their scheduling. It's very, very common, of course.
It is.
So you've been especially interested in the management of people working in manufacturing, and I was keen to, understand your approach to doing that.
Yes, Peter. Particularly in the last 10 years, I've been very, very interested on people's behavior. So I'm very passionate about people, and I know it sounds like a cliche, but I truly believe that is the most important resource of all. I believe on the Adlerian psychological principle of Gemeinschaftsgefühl, which translate as a social interest, social responsibility, or the connection between the individual and the community well-being. I think this is fundamental for a healthy and high-performing organization. I personally constantly look for inclusive ways to collaborate with our team members and improve the engagement of our community. So then we can become more progressive and also be healthy.
Yeah, I was very interested when I saw your profile and the emphasis that you gave to the management of people. Often, people who manage manufacturing are more concerned with the technical side of the activity. They understand that people are important, but they haven't spent as much time looking at it as you seem to have had, or many of them haven't. So I was interested in how you saw the relationship between the processes that you use in your manufacturing and the way that you manage people. To what extent are the processes designed and organized with people in mind?
Yes, very true, Peter. And I think it is very common to see that in my field, the different focus. I think what happened to me is that I think I started the same way, that I was really very interested on systems, on equipment, on efficiencies, and but as my career also progressed, my thinking also transformed, and I had to deal more with individuals, more with people than with equipment. This is how I started to my focus started to transform. I ended up in this place that I enjoy so much. In terms of how these are linked to processes, I think this is a very, very interesting question. And the answer is yes, definitely. We have linked fundamental processes to HR, such as communication, process engineering, product development, continuous improvement, and coaching for success. These are some examples of processes that were designed to promote openness, creativity, and collaboration, which are values at Primex. Coaching for success is particularly interesting process because it was designed to listen to our employees and explore ways to achieve growth in any possible way, even if it means that the employee have to leave the company to achieve their goals. I personally have been in that situation a few times. Luckily, not too many times, right? That, but a few times, and I feel proud about it. There's actually one case of an employee that he becomes what we call a star, right? That is one of those that you really pay attention, you nurture the person for future in the company, right? For succession. And well, he found another job, right? And a year later, now we are going to bring him back to the company, right? So it works in really interesting ways sometimes. But I think it's key to really be open and look for these growth opportunities no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's very motivating for employees to know that your concern is there for their welfare, that their growth is something that you're keen to encourage. And, you know, as you say, they may go away somewhere else to pursue another opportunity or to gain more experience or knowledge. But if your environment has been a positive one for them, then perhaps at some point they'll come back.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've emphasized employee participation and continuous improvement. Why is it important today? I know it's something that in recent years has continued to increase in interest and for a lot of companies. So I'm keen to know, why it's important to you, how you achieve it at Primex, and maybe if you have some examples of the benefit that it's had for you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, continuous improvement is essential to deal with the dynamic environments that we all live in. That's just a fact, right? And we achieve this at Primex through openness, trust, communication, processes, and truly having some fun. The opportunities come from anyone and anywhere. We have a designated space for continuous improvement. This is an actual room that is it has a gallery of photos with projects that we successfully finished. So it's to remind us the success and motivate us to keep going with the next project. So this space is for training, for the continuous improvement team, to do our Kaizen exercises, and thinking in general. I think creativity requires a proper space and the proper amount of time as well. Creativity without time, it's difficult. It requires time for pondering ideas. So those two resources, I think, are very important for continuous improvement. And examples of Primex will go from basic ones like a space, like lunchroom, right? We provided different designs, different layouts, different colors, and we put it to a vote to everyone in the company, and the biggest vote was the winner of the lunchroom. And I think it's very nice. I have received very good compliments about it. That it looks like a cactus club or so. right?
That's a good thing.
Yes. So it goes from something like that to automation projects, safety improvements, waste reductions, lean manufacturing, 5S, improved workstations, scientific molding. It's a big list, and even things like organizing to run the Vancouver Sun Run, right? This type of things we also celebrate, and I also consider as a continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be some of the examples.
Yeah, very good things. And now, within all this, your business has been deemed to be essential during the coronavirus lockdown. We talked a little bit about it a couple of weeks ago. How have you managed to continue operations during the coronavirus? What has it meant for you?
Well, it has been very stressful to start, right?
Mm.
But the way that we have managed is through learning and implementing changes and assessing really quick. That process, that cycle goes through the iteration in a daily basis. Particularly at the first few weeks, it was super intense. It was really every day. We had to learn, assess the implementation, and then discover that what we thought we learned is not true. So we have to do it again, right? And it's not like because we really chose the wrong thing. It's because we were all learning. There's no, in many times when we implement certain things, I really don't know if I'm doing the right thing. There's no experience really within our generation of this situation. So we are all learning as we go, right? So that's what makes it particularly complicated in my mind. I was in self-isolation for 2 weeks because I came from the US. When we went to US, the senior group went to buy a business in Minnesota. So we bought the business, and then we came back, and then we realized that we have to be in isolation for 2 weeks. So as a matter of fact, yes, I think it was just about a matter of hours after we arrived that the government of British Columbia instituted the self-isolation for people that came from US. So there we go. So now we're in self-isolation, and I have to direct the changes remotely in the plant. And it was very complicated. I mean, the people now my managers are in the same situation, but they keep on working and having to deal with the situation. And of course, the fact that the senior team was not there make it particularly more difficult. We are now transforming, and things are getting a bit more stable. So I think with a little bit of luck and lots of good work, we are going to be fine.
I hope so. And one thing I've been noticing about the coronavirus is people are saying that these types of changes that companies have had to make have meant that they've had to innovate and be creative and deal with uncertainty in ways that they've not had to before. And it really raises the question whether there are experiences and skills that they'll now have that are going to benefit them in the future in being able to change and respond to competition better than they've been able to in the past.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Mm.
This is some companies will come up really strong from this,
Mm. It's very interesting.
and some others will disappear.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's a time when there's going to be a lot of disruption.
Yes, I agree.
I also wanted to touch on something I know which is important to you, which is social justice. This is something that you've taken time to be involved in throughout your career. Can you tell me about your activities here and why those are important to you?
Thank you. Yes, Peter. Well, I guess I'll start by saying that social justice is a very elastic concept. Many people refers to social justice in many different angles, in many different ways. In my view, it is important when searching for the balance between personal and social responsibilities. And it really concerns me when social structures systematically segregate sectors of the society from essential services or essential opportunities. And an example of what I mean by the balance between personal and social responsibilities is, for instance, safety at Primex. Safety is everybody's responsibility, right? And it's a personal responsibility when using your protective equipment, right? You have to follow the rules and you have to be safe. But I think it goes beyond that. In safety, you have to have a social responsibility as well when it comes to other safety. So if someone sees an unsafe situation or unsafe practice, it's also the individual responsibility to address it, talk to the person and avoid a possible accident. It's actually disturbing to see the surveys and the percentage of people that prefers not to say anything about it, right? That can see an unsafe situation and chooses to be quiet and not say it, not to get involved. So this is what I mean with balance, and I think it's truly very important in organizations as well. Community outreach and education are areas that particularly interest me. I belong to Dignidad, which is a local organization that provides very important information and services to temporary workers. Temporary workers that come to Canada mostly without any English, and I'm working in remote areas, and that's the perfect formula to be abused, right? You can communicate, you are isolated. Well, some employers will be abusive. Like anywhere else, they are very good employers, they are not very good employers, right? So this organization focuses on the bad employers and provide the education to the workers, so they know their rights and they can defend themselves. This is one of the examples. I was very active with them last year. I was doing my social services with them, and I still in contact with them, but I'm not as active as I was last year because of everything that's happening this year. But I will definitely come back and rejoin. I truly believe that these type of things are important.
Yeah, I think becoming recognized as more important as we understand more about the jobs of people who are working in essential services at the moment, you know, in meat packing plants or in supermarkets and in care homes and elsewhere. It's drawing attention really to the job conditions of lots of people. And we don't know what will happen, you know, as we move forward from here. But certainly there is a lot more attention, perhaps more recognition of the need for there to be, you know, good conditions for everyone at work.
I agree.
Okay, so my next question really is about that, what you think work will be like in the future. And the trends that we might expect there, and maybe harder to predict now with the virus and trying to understand what things will be like afterwards. But what do you think work will be like in the future?
I think the trends will continue, and I think technology and automation will be in high demand. It will be even more important, actually. I think now with COVID-19 and possible future pandemics that we may have, I think technology and automation will be in high demand. I was looking at some reports, and I was initially surprised that China is the country that is spending more money in robotics. To me, that's a really clear indication. If China, that it has one of the biggest workforce in the world, is investing that much in robotics, so that's definitely a trend where manufacturing should go, and it's going, and I'm a firm believer that it will be, and it's in everybody's minds.
Yeah, it is fascinating that China are investing in robotics when their advantage before had been cheap labor, and now they're recognizing that they too need to invest in robotics, perhaps to continue to reduce the price of buying things from China in competition with increasing automation, which is going to make things cheaper in developed countries. So it's really it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But certainly more automation as a result of the coronavirus too, with people not being able to work as close together, and you know, trying to create a safe workplace, and also respond to pressures to source more product domestically rather than internationally. These things are, I think too, are going to impact automation and robotics, and we're going to see a lot more of it. A good business to be in, probably, if you're a robotics company at the moment.
Exactly, it's really fascinating. And robots are getting cheaper too, right? Projects that I was intending to do 10 years ago, that were I didn't have the capital expenditure power to do it. Now I can.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it. It's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. So I've just got one more question, which is the advice that you might have for students who might be graduating soon and considering a career in manufacturing. What do you think is important for them to think about, or what advice might you have for them?
Yes, Peter. I think in addition to what we just talked about in the previous question about technology and automation, I think it's crucial to learn social skills. and discover your own leadership style. I find that really important, and that will make their jobs way more enjoyable. It is really, I would say, it is easy to work with machines because they are highly predictable. They will do what they're supposed to do. You understand the system, you understand the equipment. It will do it the same way every time. Humans are much more complex, and will answer back to them. So I think the more you understand how to socialize, how to work in teams, emotional intelligence, the better and the more enjoyable the jobs will be.
Yeah, a lot of the people who'll be watching this are engineers and technologists, computer scientists at Waterloo, and who have wonderful skills in those areas. And I think what you seem to be telling them is that combining that with people skills and social skills is going to be very important for them to be able to apply those technical skills in ways that will benefit organizations and benefit their careers and hopefully benefit society too.
Exactly, Peter. Exactly. It's that's one of the things that I've seen professionals that are really good in their fields in manufacturing as engineers, that if they lack of those social skills, sometimes they suffer.
Yeah.
Because also as you progress with your career, you get into management positions. Right?
And you need social skills.
Exactly.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, Heinz, and to the students at Waterloo. I've enjoyed our conversation. I think what we've discussed is very important for the students and will hopefully help them in their careers.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it.